I did it. I got finished with all the books I needed to for the autumn equinox readathon, plus like two additional ones, I think. I question. I think it was 2. I don't really remember anymore. I hope that you were able to finish yours too, like you got through all your classes, and if you were able to get any of the additional certificates or finish any of the side quests, congratulations, and I'd love to know in the comments down below. If this is your first video here, this is going to be my August wrap up, but you know, additional things. And I'm Morgan. Thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll check out some of my others and subscribe if you like how I talk about books. Now, let's get into the first books. There is a poll up right now for how you prefer your wrap-ups, and most of it said some stats, but mostly feelings. That's the one that's winning right now. So we'll try to do that. It's only been like a day though since I put it up, because I need to get this hurried. I meant to have like 2 days or something, at least give it time to accumulate results. But I will reflect next month's though, based off this. And now we are, talking. So for August though, I read a total of 11 books. I don't know if I already said that. 4 of them were 4 stars and above. 7 of them were between 3 and 7.75. 7 of them were mixed between physical audio. 1 was just physical, 2 were just audio, and 1 was just an ebook. And 2 of them I don't have because they went back to the library. 1 went back to the library, and the ebooks obviously I can't hold up. But otherwise, yeah, there will be pictures and books. Let's just start at the beginning then. We will start at the beginning of the month. The first thing I finished in August was Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. Now this is of course the sci-fi classic, and it was still very kind of easy to read. It was a 3.75, and I got it with the Kindle Unlimited, like the illustrated edition, so it was gorgeous. Like, and they were moving illustrations most of the time too, so gorgeous. Because though it is an older classic book, there was the writing style was very, it's not that it was difficult, because I think he wrote it for kids, not like kids today of course, but to get children of the era into like the sciences, and it would go into depths about rocks, because it's Earth, so this one was Earth-centric, rock-centric, whereas I figure some of his other ones might focus more on other parts of sciences. But our main characters in this one are naturalists, and Professor Otto Liedenbrock, and his nephew Axel are our main characters. Everything's from Axel's perspective, as his uncle has discovered this book that's like written in code though, kind of a manuscript of how this famous explorer journeyed to the center of the earth. I no longer remember who that person was, like what his name was, but he was Icelandic. I want to say he was Icelandic, and of course the journey they had to go was in Iceland. They had to go through there, right? Greenland, Iceland. Yes. So, and it is set in Germany, like of course Professor Liedenbrock and Axel, whose name I don't remember anymore, travel from Germany to, I'm going to say Iceland, I'm just going to go with that, and they pick up a guide who is like instrumental. Also, he becomes the main character, and he helps them get to the mountain volcano that they need to travel in, and then he travels with them the whole time, and they really bond, even though he hardly ever speaks. But I mean, without this guy they would not have survived, and the fact that he just went along with this journey of craziness, it's like, okay, the professor is going to pay me. He's going to pay me, at this point in time every month. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with going into certain danger. That was really okay. And the way the book went, it was, I don't know. I mean, it is called Journey to the Center of the Earth. But, I did not think so much of it would actually be the journey, I guess. You spend a lot of time before the volcano, and then the journey through the volcano and into the center of the earth, and very, very little time there, kind of. I don't know. That was it. And the end of the book, it's a happy ending, but it just felt like it cut off. Like the last few sentences were just like, I don't like the last few sentences mostly. It just didn't feel like a good end to this book. Time-wise, I don't want this video to be long, but I feel like it's going to be long. But I actually only have like 30 minutes to be able to film this right now. So, like, for full feelings, though, I vlogged all of the Orilium. And I know vlogs might not be your thing, but it was mostly just talking about the books. Like, all the feelings as I was reading them. So if that's what you wanted from a wrap-up, go check out my vlogs. They are not the best quality, for sure. Not tons of B-roll. Okay, most of them have no B-roll. But the feelings about the books. Like our next one, Graceling by Kristen Cash. I don't have that there. Crap. Cashmore. It came out as a 3.75, which was pretty decent. And the book wasn't bad. It's just, it's very, I think this was written 2007 to 10, somewhere in there. So it has a lot of the things that the YA books at that point had, because this is the first in a YA fantasy series where some people are born with certain abilities, where some of them could be very mundane. They're just better at swimming, or they're better at fighting. Actually, that seems to be a very common one, because a lot of the kings seem to have people who were born with fighting graces in their things. And you can always tell a Graceling because one of their eyes will change color. And our main character, Casta, she is a Graceling with a very deadly grace, and she has been living with her uncle, the king, as pretty much his assassin for most of her life. Okay, I ruined it myself. I read a Goodreads review on it. I don't even remember why. I think I'd been on Goodreads just to update how much I'd read that day, and I don't know why I was looking at the reviews. I think because some of them were weird. Some of them were saying stuff, but this book had been recommended to me from somebody in the Alchemist Guild as part of the Orilium thing. And so they were saying, oh yeah, I'd love that series. But I read that review, and it changed. I could not look at the book the same. I seriously, go look at the vlog for that one. It was the first vlog, and watch me crack up. Okay, I have to move on now. Next, I read One Dark Window. This is the one that was the full physical book, because I couldn't find the audiobook to go with it. This one was also a 3.75, and this is also the first in a series. I want to say it's a duology. I want to say it's going to be a duology. The second one is coming out in November, and I will probably read it because I want to figure out how in the world they're going to play this off, how this is going to, and I think it's got to be wrapped up within the next book. That's why I say it's got to be a duology, because timeline-wise that they set themselves, yeah, I think it's going to be wrapped up in the next book. And it was okay. And this was my first, no, actually Graceling I tried, but this was my first one where I'd actually gotten multicolored tabs and trying to tab. So that was that. It's got the gothic vibes, the tarot magic system, which is not quite tarot. In this world, they have cards that they look like tarot cards, but there's only a certain amount that were made by an individual known as the Shepherd King. And he made these cards using the spirit of the wood, which used to grant people of blunder magic. Like, they would go and request and worship kind of the spirit of the wood, and she would give them things that would help provide for the people. But something happened centuries ago, and the spirit got angry, and now magic is bad and banned unless you're using the cards. But the spirit put this mist all around the kingdom, which really sounds like a town. But she put it around it to where they are cut off from the rest of the world, and they have been for centuries, because they can't go through the mist. If you're in the mist without a token for too long, you will start to go nuts. The mist will infect your mind. And she has also put this thing to where children will get sick, and this specific sickness grants them a magic, and the magic slowly deteriorates their bodies or their minds in different ways. And so the kings have declared that anybody with this magic must be killed. But our main character meets these highway bandits and ends up teaming up with them later afterwards to be able to find the last of the missing cards, to complete the deck, to try to banish the mist. And she, of course, falls for one of them, but they're not who they seem. So, I mean, it wasn't bad. It just, there were things that were like, okay, I don't want to focus on this. Come on, go, do this. So, yeah, there was that. I will read the next one. I will definitely read the next one. It took me a whole year of owning this to get to it, but I'll read the next one. I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet. I don't actually know if this was the next one. I forgot to put it in my list. So yeah, but for this one I had gotten Rising of a Shield Hero Volume 1, and I found the audiobook for it at my library, and I'm like, why is the audiobook so much longer than what it looks like this is? Because the audiobook is for the novelization of it, and that's like several volumes of the manga, because it was a web novel, then it was traditionally published, and then it got picked up as an anime, and they did the manga off the anime version. And I've now watched season 1 and 2 of the anime. Season 1 was okay. Season 2 was just really odd in the storyline choices, and it jumped around a lot. It didn't make whole lots of sense in some of the things. But our main character is taken from this world into another world where he is going to be like the shield hero, one of the 4 cardinal heroes that is set to save the realm from the waves of evil destruction where, sky portals open up and monsters rain down on the land. Except everybody seems to hate the shield hero. And it doesn't make sense. And like, especially the king. The king hates him for so much reason. And it never explains it in the show. It's almost alluded to for some reason. And like, okay, the queen, which you don't even know there's a queen at first. The queen whispers to the shield hero something about the king of why, he would act like this. But you don't know that. You just see her whispering to them and you're like, this is stupid. There's a whole more series of novelizations, but from what I've heard, it doesn't go well towards like after 10. It's like they're like the author's just writing to filler to have more word count, but the story's not developing, the characters aren't developing. Next was my arc of Starter Villain by John Scalzi. There should be an actual video review for that coming out in like a week. I think I'm going to put the review out the day after the book comes out. This one only got 4 stars though. I was really sad. I had hopes for it being, as good as Kaiju Preservation Society, and it's got a cat on it, which is Hera. Oh my gosh, no, that's not Hera, because Hera is like orange and white. But Starter Villain follows Charlie Fitz as he has just found out that his billionaire uncle died and left him his villainy business. And he has to go learn how to take over that, contend with competitors that are, very manipulative and backstabbing and scheming. And oh my gosh, though, the cats are awesome. So for the things about this, I will direct you to go check out that review when it comes out for purposes of time. And of course the vlogs from last month. Actually, I don't know how much this came up in the vlogs. I don't know. Okay, next I read, what everybody loves or hates from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was a 4 stars. I will go ahead and say I'm going to continue this series, but I kind of did a little bit better with the tabbing. A little bit. It's just I didn't, Poppy was, okay. Some things you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's happening. She can't see it happening. I don't get why exactly she can't see this happening or why she didn't see this. And the romancy bit, it's whatever. It's whatever. Some things happened really fast in the book though, but then it didn't for a long time after that though. But I'm like, oh wow, I did not expect to be seeing something like this so early in. And then though it nothing happens for like a really, really long time, and in the end. But what I loved about this though, and what gave it to the 4-star level, is the world. Some people claimed it wasn't original, and like the descriptions of things, they weren't special or anything like that. I don't get it. I loved it. She gave details about it. She gave backstory. It was different than what we thought was going on. And okay, so it's not the most original names of things. So how many books have the name vampire in them? They don't even try to make it different. Yeah, this was fine. And what we got of the world was fine. So I don't understand those people's complaints. I loved the world. And I like Poppy's ability thing. Like, it seems that it's not super common, even with the other peoples. They're like, okay, Okay. So that's cool. And I want to see more of what's going to happen there with Poppy, though I have heard book 3 kind of went sideways. So we will see how that happens eventually. Hopefully the bookshelf can hold all that up. Okay. So this one though, this next one, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. I think this had to have come next. This next one, I also did not write down on my thing for some odd reason, but it was the best book of the month. And that was Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is a 4.75. The best of the month. I'm loving this trilogy so far. The first book was a 5-star. This one was almost there. This one does take place after the first one, centuries later, I think. I think we're still a few centuries down the road, and we are still getting our multi-POV. And also, though, we are getting time skips, because we will go back and forth between past at Old Earth time period, not on Old Earth, but Old Earth time period, forward to our current people of Kern's world and their exploration as they have gone out into another planet and what is happening there, and we are introduced to another intelligent species. And just the end of the book, okay, so was it the epilogue? We are forward in time even more, and I think though the last book takes place in between, maybe when this one's epilogue far in the future. I think it takes place between the end of this book and that epilogue. Just rough guesstimate there. But there is also a fourth happening here in between the humans and intelligent species of the different planets. And I just love it. I love how things are different per species, how their intelligence works, how they process and think and rationalize, and how they work through all the problems, and how everybody has come up with space travel differently and rationalizing it. And it's just awesome. And how feelings and expressions and the true problems of communication that will probably, be our future when we do meet the aliens. Yeah, I love this series so much. So much. So I highly recommend, check out, where's the first one? Children of Time. Definitely check out Children of Time if you like space stories, space sagas. It's not a space opera. Is it a space opera? I don't know. Space sagas. This is awesome. Okay. For that one, I think once I finally do get to finish Children of Memory, I might do a whole series trilogy review. Maybe. I don't know. The next one, though, was a little bit sadder, because this was Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Kidditch, and I love Morgan Le Fay things. But it seems like regular fiction-y parts don't seem to be working well for me anymore. I don't know. This was only a 3.5 stars. It was fully an audiobook, and the story was good. It was fine. I don't like where it ended, because it ended like it's still within her life. She still has so much life. But she had her baby. She got away from the husband. And now we're done. But this book follows Morgan from when she's a child with her parents at the castle Tinningrill? I don't remember. And until Uther Pendragon comes and, marries her mother, and her sisters have to go to the capital and, live there with him as her sisters are married off. And then eventually Morgan, though, keeps defying Uther, and he sends her to a convent, an abbey, to finish her studies. Well, no, he doesn't send her there. He sends her there as a punishment, but it's really an abbey that teaches girls in ways and stuff. And she learns a lot about the healing arts, like holy healing arts from holy sisters. And yet, when she marries her husband, he thinks that that's not women's work. He thinks that it's not godly or whatever. Learned from an abbey of nuns. And yet he is mad anytime she practices this sort of thing, because that's not what wives are supposed to do. My God, I hated that man. He was so pig-headed. And she's literally trying to help her people, because he's a king of Gaul, so she's the queen, and she's trying to help their citizens. And yet. So yeah, that was awful. Besides the fact that there were no abbeys in the time period of where this would have been taking place, and the monarchy would not have been Christian. Otherwise, it's fine. And then I had received another ARC from NetGalley of an audiobook that was Bookworm to Badass by... Oh, I don't remember. Okay, it'll be on the cover, whichever side shows the cover. This one was a 4 stars. It is a lit RPG. It's supposed to be a standalone, though the fact that it has 3 epilogues and the epilogues go into a different level of... Well, one especially makes it seem like it's setting up something else, but he said it's a standalone, so I'm only assuming it's because it might connect into his other worlds that he's created. But this one we follow Sarah. We follow Sarah, who is having a bad day, so she's eating raspberry donuts at the library while reading I think it's this pirate romance book. So she's comforting. She's trying to comfort herself at the library. When somebody comes in to rob the library with a gun, she shushes them and he shoots her. And she wakes up in this other place that they're like, this is heaven, but you have to compete to stay here. Otherwise, your soul will go back into the primordial tide. I don't remember what they said. And you'll just be reborn. I mean, so it's fine. It's not like you're going to go anywhere or anything, but you won't have all your memories of your life and stuff. What my takeaway from the beginning, though, is why are you eating donuts while reading a book? They're damaging books, and they're not even your books, they're library books. But, so Sarah is, this really quiet, trying to, peacekeeping, help everybody, be nice to everybody type of person. And now she has to be in this competition kind of to the death. Because, you can die here, but you do come back. As long as you pass the first trial, as long as you get to the end of each trial, you'll be resurrected and you can keep trying again. So she goes through a whole transformation, of course, from the beginning to the end of, she's manipulated, she's lied to, and so many things. And I really liked it. I liked how she did, except at one part, it wasn't smart. It wasn't her normal thing, what she did, and she acted like there wouldn't have been consequences, and she was super shocked that there was a consequence. So yeah, there was the ad. Still, 4-star read. Very fun. If you want a light palate cleanser, because I will say this is a light book and it's not a long book, you can pick this up in between things because it was a fun read, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to just be a silly, fun read. After that, though, I'd already completed all of my classes, so I knocked out my impling challenge, starting with The Golden Sun. The Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, which is the second in the Red Rising saga now. I just think we should call it saga. This one continues to follow Darrow. It takes place about 3 years after the events in Red Rising, though, as he is still trying to work with the Sons of Ares to overthrow the Golds from the inside, while this way the Reds are no longer in slavery, because as in the first book, a Red finds out that his people have been pretty much enslaved for forever, because they were told that Mars has to be terraformed for people to live on the surface. So you guys live, underground pretty much, and mine helium-3 in horrible conditions. They ration off the food and everything. And pretty much they compete, the clans, even in each city, against each other. Like, they'll always give one clan a prize for doing the best, even though they're not the one that does the best. Like, that's what sets Darrow off in the first book at first, and leads to the events of his wife becoming a martyr, and kind of making him a martyr too, and the Sons of Ares finding him and being like, hey, you could be more just like what your wife wanted you to be. Let's bring our people out of slavery into the light and, show that Reds are strong and Reds are capable. And this one, he's more conflicted. He's like, but there are good Golds. They're not all evil. And you find out, though, also that somebody is well aware in power that, like, he's very well aware that, the class systems could do more, because each color class is assigned a specific thing. And some of them, like the Reds are awful. The Pinks, what's done to the Pinks are awful, because they're like pleasure workers. That's all they're allowed to be. But this person is like, I know they could do more. I know that they're capable and they're smart, especially some of them, like the Blues and the Greens. But you know, that's what life was before, and the humanity almost died and didn't even hardly want to go out into the solar system and survive. And I want to take us beyond our solar system. So see, he has almost the right idea, except he doesn't care that people will be left in slavery. He actually doesn't care if billions are murdered as long as humanity survives overall. So it's a twisted view of it. And but he does know that, like, goals right now, he does not agree with how the goals are right now. He does not agree with the current really leadership, and like how we have even stopped trying to go past our solar system, even though like we have colonized out far, like to, have we colonized Saturn? Maybe Jupiter and maybe Saturn, but like we have not tried to go further anymore. They stopped again. And he's like, we need to make more advancements. We need to keep going, or we will fade again. We will die off again, and I will not let that happen. And then the end of the book. Oh my God. The end of the book, though. It almost made me want to start Morningstar like right away. Okay, I think I talked enough about this. I only talked a little bit about the thing that, I mean, that part was, it's not really a spoiler because I didn't say who and I didn't say when or how that conversation came about. So, you know, it's just a little bit of context that I thought was cool. I'm hoping the shelf is doing okay with all those stackers now. Okay, then to the last book, The Luminaries by Susan Dennard, and apparently it's got a scratch right there. I don't know when that happened, and that sucks, but at least it's just a dust jacket. It's incredibly small, but yet it was still tedious to read, kind of. This is still 3.5 stars. This was the first and was going to be a trilogy. I originally thought it was a duology, because the other book, The Hunting Moon, comes out maybe October. It could also be November release. Since it's a trilogy, I don't know if I want to read the next one, because I just did not like the way this was set up. But in this, we follow Winnie Wednesday, who her family has kind of been outcasted from their society, the Luminaries, who is a society around the world that live around towns with resting spirits. And these spirits, as they're sleeping at night, which I think they're always sleeping, but at night, the spirits send out nightmares into the surrounding forests or areas. And the Luminaries help make sure that the nightmares stay within the forest, that normal people don't find out about them, and, you know, that the nightmares don't hurt any people. The whole town, though, it knows about them. So the whole town is mostly Luminaries or their families or, you know, support staff and whatnot. There's a few non-original people that live there, but they like go through extensive background checks before. Because there's another group of people called Dianas, which are witches. I really don't get the Diana's name there. But they want to use the power of the spirits to do magic and stuff. They want to use the power of the spirits for other selfish purposes. But I don't agree with the Luminaries. Okay, I get that they say they start using 12 to 13-year-olds to pick up the bodies of the nightmares and stuff that are killed, so that way they can be acclimated to death and, you know, the nightmares and stuff. They're training. And then they have the 16-year-olds take the hunter trials, which is what Winnie's goal is. She just turned 16. She's going to take the hunter trials, become a hunter, and get her family accepted back, to the Luminary Society. She is determined that she can pass this trial with no training until the first trial happens. And then she's like, oh my goodness, I really was not actually prepared like I thought I was. But she does manage to pass. And so she keeps going, and it's just like she feels a whole lot of guilt. She admits it. I think she eventually admits it to her aunt, maybe her mom, though, what happened. Her aunt's like, I always knew. But that line, her aunt telling her she always knew, and then what she does for the third trial is so messed up. 45% chance I'll read the next one just to find out more about the Dianas, what in the world it went down with her dad, what's the backstory there, because there is something that doesn't add up, which I will not mention. I mentioned a little bit in the vlog. I barely actually talked about this one in the vlog, and it was a really bad clip with the audio. So, okay, never mind. I'm just going to move on, because, yeah, that's all. These are almost all the books that I read in August, because, like I said, that went back to the library and all the ebooks that I had slowly down. I would love to know how your August came out, if you passed all your classes, what additional little things you might have done, or if you weren't even, in the readathon, just how your August came out. Were you able to get to the ones you wanted? Were they as good as you wanted? So far, I have not done that much in September, but the books were still pretty good. I have enjoyed so far the ones I've read. The one I'm working on now is a little bit less than the first one, so we'll see. But I hope you're having an awesome day, and maybe you'll want to check out the Semester Magic review because it is the perfect read to going into the spooky season. It's we're in the spooky season. Really. It was awesome. Check this, just check it out. Grab the book, yes. Or every Monday we put up the new weekly releases of the week, so go check that out to find out some new books coming out this week. I hope you enjoyed this. Go check out the other videos and subscribe if you haven't. Hope you're having an awesome day and finding something great to read. Bye, y'all.